the Falcons season in general. Now, I went through a lot of stats, and I went through a lot of things, and I just wanted to say this. I'm actually proud of this Falcons team, because I didn't realize how many close games the Falcons were in when it came to this season. There were 12 games where the Falcons were within a touchdown of winning this game. You hear me? 12 games where the Falcons were in a chance of either winning or losing the game. And there were 5 games that were not so close. That was the Bengals game, the Panthers, the Bengals, the 49ers game, the Panthers game, the Ravens game, and the Bucks game. And the Panthers game is the second one that we played at the Panthers, 49ers, Cincinnati, Buccaneers. Those games were with more than a touchdown. So those are the only 5 games that were not close. Now, when it came to our division, when it came to that, versus the Panthers, we split the Panthers. Versus the Buccaneers, surprisingly, we split the Buccaneers. I saw comments talking about, oh, we didn't really play the starters. Brady was playing through the first 2 quarters, so I don't know what you're talking about. We were playing against Tom Brady the first 2 quarters, and we still kept the game within a touchdown, so we still played against the starters. I don't know what you're talking about. The only team that we did not split against was the Saints. And the first game against the Saints, we lost 27-26. The second game, we lost 21-18. So both Saints game, we had a shot to win the game. And the first game, I remember we blew a lead. The second one came down to a fumble by Drake London. Yeah, we were that close to at least splitting one of the games with the Saints. But in terms of the starters, before I get into the stats of the players, and we're going to talk about the passing, the 2 rushing, 5 receivers, and then the leading tackles, the leading guys for tackles, sacks, and interceptions. Desmond Ridder started only 4 games this season, was 2-2. Marcus Mariota was 5-8. Marcus Mariota was 5-8. Desmond Ridder is a rookie, and I did the stats, and the yards that Desmond Ridder was averaging, and if he had started the amount of games that Marcus Mariota had played, he would have had at least 100 more yards than Marcus Mariota. So Marcus Mariota wasn't really that good, and that's just to see why. And when it came to home versus away games, we were 6-3 at home, 1-7 away. So when it came to the away games, it was pretty disappointing. But when it came to the home games, we did what we were supposed to do and win most of the whole games. Now let's get into the stats for each player. Marcus Mariota played 13 games, 184 for 300 attempts, 61.3 completion percentage, 2,219 yards, averaging 7.4 yards per throw, 15 touchdowns, 9 picks. Desmond Ridder started 4 games, 73 for 115, completing 63.5% of his passes, 708 yards, 6.2 average per throw, 2 touchdowns, 0 picks. Let me go on into this Desmond Ridder thing real quick. He was averaging 63.5% of his passes, and this is with this first game where he didn't play good. Can you imagine if he had played well in that first game? He would have been at least averaging 66% of his passes, and probably would have had at least close to 800 yards. And like I said, the amount of the yards he was averaging, he would have been better than Marcus Mariota in the 13 games. And I'm pretty sure he would have threw the less amount of picks, because even though he only threw 2 touchdowns, he did have 0 picks. Marcus Mariota had 9 picks. I'm going to just say that. Rushing, Tyler Allgeier, best rusher. Most rushing yards by a rookie running back for the Atlanta Falcons, 16 games compared to Cordell Patterson, 13 games, because Cordell Patterson missed about 3 or 4 games. Allgeier had 210 carries, 1,035 yards, averaging 4.9 yards per rush, and 3 touchdowns. Cordell Patterson had 144 carries, 695 yards, averaging 4.8 yards per carry, and 8 touchdowns. So, in terms of the rushing, the running backs were pretty good. I mean, Tyler Allgeier was averaging 4.9. Cordell Patterson was averaging 4.8. And Cordell Patterson missed some games. So if Cordell Patterson had been given about an even amount of carries as Tyler Allgeier, it would have been pretty close between the two. Receiving, the top 5 receivers for the Falcons: Drake London, Lamar Zaccheaus, Kyle Pitts, Damiere Byrd, Cordell Hodge. And Kyle Pitts is third. And Kyle Pitts has missed the last 7 games of the season. Drake London played 17 games. Zaccheaus, 17. Kyle Pitts, 10. Byrd, 14. Hodge, 17. Drake London had 72 receptions for 117 targets, which is the most targeted receiver by the Falcons in Falcons history. Zaccheaus had 40 receptions for 61 targets. Pitts had 28 receptions for 59 targets. Byrd had 13 receptions for 23 targets. And Hodge had 13 receptions for 20 targets. Drake London had 866 yards, Zaccheaus 533, Pitts 356, Byrd 268, 202 for Hodge. And in terms of touchdowns, Drake London led the team. 4 touchdowns for Drake, 3 for Zaccheaus, 2 for Pitts, 2 for Byrd, and 1 for Hodge. Now, it's time to get into the defense. With Rashawn Evans, like I said in my review, I said I knew he was going to lead the team in. I said I knew he was going to lead the team in tackles. He had 159 tackles. Richie Grant was second, 123. Michael Walker was third with 107. Jalen Hawkins was fourth with 84, and Troy Anderson, a rookie, was fifth with 69. Now in terms of the sacks, Grady Jarrett had the most sacks with 6, and he picked up a sack in yesterday's game. Lorenzo Carter had the second most with 4. Ebiketie had 2.5. AO had 2. And Rashawn Evans had 2. That's the one thing I look mainly at when it comes to this. The sacks weren't that much, because Nick Bosa had 18.5, and the most that we had was Grady Jarrett with 6. I'm not happy with that. In terms of the interception, it was not even that better. Michael Walker with 2, Richie Grant with 2, Jalen Hawkins with 2, Isaiah Oliver with 1, and Lorenzo Carter with 1. But one guy I'm very disappointed in that had a definitely disappointing season, AJ Terrell. 47 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, no picks, no sacks. Man, it's been a down year for AJ Terrell, but I'm hoping he gets back next season. Younghoe Koo was 32 for 37. He was averaging 86.5. His completion percentage in terms of field goals was 86.5. From 1 to 19 yards, he had 0. 20 to 29, he was 9 for 9. 30 to 39, he was 7 for 7. 40 to 49, he was 9 for 10. And 50 plus, he was 7 for 11. So, looking at this in terms of the Falcons season, I mean, like I said, there was a lot of close games for the Falcons, and we could have literally changed their record. I predicted the Falcons to finish 5-12. We finished 7-10. And I'm gonna be honest, Desmond Ridder should definitely be the starting quarterback for next season. So, which means that when it comes to our starting line for next season, Desmond Ridder is going to be the quarterback. Tyler Allgeier is going to be our number 1 running back. And the receivers, the top 2 receivers that we're going to have are going to be Pitts and London, who are both tall receivers. All we really need is someone that has speed, because I think Zaccheaus is supposed to be our speed guy and Bird's supposed to be our speed guy. But we need somebody that can really get deep, like a Quez Watkins, something like that. But the Eagles are not going to give him up. But looking at the stats, Desmond Ridder would have outperformed Marcus Mariota with the same 13 games, the way things are going. And in terms of the starter, Desmond Ridder was what I expected him to be. He played well in this last 2 games of the season, and I'm very happy for that. And I'm very happy to see what the Falcons have done. But in terms of this overall season, it's an okay season, finishing 7-10. I didn't expect us to be in a top 10 pick with a record of 7-10. But it's still whatever. We finished 7-10, I think, 2 years ago in the NFL. But next season will definitely be a better season. We have a lot more money when it comes to cap space, and we're going to be able to get some players in free agency. So when it comes to 2023, when it comes to the 2022 season for the Atlanta Falcons, I'm all right with it. But we'll see how we go, and I'll see you guys when we get into the 2023 season or 2023 off season. See you guys later.